What's going on, YouTube? This is Chris here, and I got to tell you that the age of action, the time for action in your life starts now. Just earlier today, I have realized that this past week of my life, I have just been lazy, relatively lazy. My routines, I still do them every day, no doubt, but I do them in varying degrees. Usually, when I do my routines, let's say I play basketball for 3-4 hours a day and work out. And I work on my agency business for about 2-3 hours a day, messaging people. And then at the end of the day, I work on my music, my rapping ability, my song structure, all that. Well, over this past week, I've just been making time for BS, which is watching YouTube videos, relapsing, you know what I mean? Watching porn and things like that, going through the motions. And the reason why I make this video is because it is time for me to get out of my head, stop watching other people take action and making a difference in society and the things that they actually believe in, and start doing it myself. Because me as a Black man and me as a human being in general, I know things that most other people know about but don't really talk about or want to do anything about. And I know I'm using the word about a lot, so let's just break it down and just make it a lot more clear. There are a lot of problems we have in society that people like to sweep under the rug. And I come from a Christian house and a Christian background where I went to Christian church every single day, but common things like people having sex, people doing drugs, X, Y, and Z are not really explained and talked about. They're kind of swept under the rug, and everybody just assumes that these are bad things. And if you try to bring them to light, you will immediately be ostracized by everyone around you. And if you don't know how to act and stand as a person, it will get to you and it's going to hurt you. Things like this have bothered me all my life since I was a child. And I truly believe, even in the midst of this pandemic, currently right now, we're in phase 2, especially in New York, where I'm from, when it comes to this corona incident. And I'm here to tell you that this year in particular has been the greatest year of my life because of the actions that I've decided to make and affect my own life. And last year, where I was at this time, I can guarantee you I was in the worst place that I've ever been in my life. So in the course of about 1 year, the amount of difference that I have seen is mind-blowing, and it's like nothing that's ever happened to me before. But the reason why I'm making this channel, because I know for a fact I have something to say, and it is my obligation as a being on this planet to help you, to help everybody that I can, and spread the message, spread the word of things that are untrue and make them true. And not only that, not just talk about things, give you practical examples, give you practical scenarios and things you can do to make your life better, whether you're from the hood, whether you're in the same environment as me, whether you're making more money than me. You can't be silent anymore. Things don't work like that anymore. We don't live in this era anymore where, somebody else is going to come and save you. We're going to just hope and pray and believe that X, Y, and Z is going to happen. No, this is the era where you pick up a book, you go out your way to learn some information, and then you go act upon it. This is the era of knowing and teaching one another how to be greater. There are no more leaders going to come out. There are going to be no more Jesus Christs, no more Muhammad, no more Prophet Muhammads, no more Buddhas, no more Martin Luther Kings, Malcolm X's. There will be no more leaders for us to follow. We live in an era and a generation where everyone around us now has an opportunity to become something and make an influence on their life. Albeit it may not be at quote unquote celebrity or presidential or politician status, but we have enough drive, motivation, and tools at our disposal to not only uplift ourselves, but make an influence on the world and influence the community around us. We are at a point where the average person, especially if you live in a first world country, just to make it simple, if you live in a first world country, we are at a point where the average person can now has enough intelligence to be able to read or write, has enough common sense to be able to get a job and work, has enough opportunities for them to get the bare minimums they need for survival, readily available food, clothes, a shelter, a home. They have, majority of people have all the basic needs, even though they may not live in luxury. You know what I mean? And they be missing one of the two. Maybe they don't eat food every day, but you still got a home to live in. You know what I mean? Or maybe you be bouncing around from house here and there, but you really not going hungry like that. You know what I mean? You still always find somewhere to eat and live. We live in an era in society where even the poorest countries in the world are now doing better. Africa, for example, 50 years ago in Africa, not even 50. Hell yeah, it might even been 50 if I'm being honest. 50 years ago, if you go back to Africa, nobody in Africa like had lights. Some of the poorest people, if I go back to Haiti, where my mom and dad are from, they barely had lights in their houses. They had nothing. They came over to America. It's an entirely different worldview. Everybody got lights on now. Everybody got shoes. Public transportation. They used to be telling me stories about how they had to walk miles just to get water and walk back. And if they dropped the bucket, they were screwed. Now, even places in Africa, some of the poorest places in Africa, now people have houses. They have mattresses. It's still garbage. Don't get me wrong. Their situation that they're in is not great, but it's getting better. It's getting better. We don't have nothing but tribal people anymore with sticks and stones there. People are not eating in Africa, but it's getting better to the point now people are getting more housing now. People are now getting access to electricity. People in Africa and things like that and other places, poor places of the world, are getting access to the internet. Even though you want to make as many bad claims for the world being a horrible place that you want and just look at the negatives, you gotta switch your mind frame up and look at the positive. You gain nothing from looking at the negative. You must always look at the brighter side of the story. This is how we grow as a people. This is how you affect people and make change. You must look for the positives in life and take a hold of them, capture them, and do everything that you can with them to grow. Do not take this as me saying that you should never look at the negative. You should have an idea and be aware of the negative and realize, do not do that. But at the end of the day, you must realize that the world is shifting. I am telling you now, and I will explain more in later videos. The world is changing. Look at this year alone and how many influential people and how many crazy events that's been happening. The world is in the midst of a change. And if you are not growing, you are sinking. But this has been Chris Desir. You know, I'm going to try to make more of these videos. So if this one come out a little bit awkward, I had to collect my thoughts, say what I wanted to say, but you know what I mean. I didn't come in here with a script. Again, I'm about to go outside and get my routines done, get my work in that I'm supposed to, but I know I had to make this video and I know how to get it released. So I did it because I had to. Simple as that. Catch you guys next time.